Hey everybody, this is Mike, the Colorado Lawn Guy. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go through the park for the last and final time. It has been 30 days, 31 days actually, since we started the project, and we are looking pretty good. We're going to go through everything. We're going to go through a mow. We may even get some aerial footage of the park, and I'll give you my final thoughts on the project. Here we go. Look at that. So here are some of the things that I am noticing out in the area. First and foremost, we'll talk a little bit about color. In the project area, the color is just night and day difference to the rest of the park. There are some specific areas I kind of want to point out and show you that really have transformed. We have a spot kind of over here, and I'm going to point at it over here, and hopefully you can really see it on camera. We've just got this really beautiful bluish green tint over here to the Kentucky bluegrass. It's really taken well to the fertilizer that's been put down over here. We'll take a look at just this spot over here, and we can even see the difference between kind of the area over here where we did the renovations and just outside of it, where we see a lot of that dingy color, where we still have a lot of that dead material sitting in here. Got a lot of grass blades sitting up real high, and it just looks really horrible through here. So the color difference in between this entire area is much different than what we had just several weeks ago. One of the other things to kind of take a look at is a lot of the really bad damage areas that had a lot of dead spots in it are really filling in. We have, you know, this area here that is almost completely filled in. That was really bad early on. The one example area that I used to point to a lot over here has almost completely filled in. There's very little problems as we take a look in the grass. We're not seeing a bunch of brown spots in there. Everything's filling in really nicely. And if you remember, this spot here really going a heck of a lot like this one with this particular 3 weeks lawn ago. As you can see here, and you're really not seeing that anymore in the section that we did. Now, some of the bad things I am seeing. Obviously, I am starting to see a lot of weeds out here. I did not do any weed control. I did not work on that at all. I simply was worried about getting the turf a little healthier and working it from that angle. So if it were me and if I were going to come out, I would actually come out with a granular weed control, put it down as a post-emergent, and you know, a lot of these weeds would be knocked down within a couple weeks. So you know, that's kind of the number one thing too. I really, from a weed perspective, I'm starting to see a lot of bindweed starting to creep on in here, which is not great, but again, I'm going to let the management company kind of worry about the weeds for the rest of the year through this area. But the grass is long. It's really nice. It is got, man, it's standing up. It's lush. It's soft. Way different than it was 30 days ago. And so this should show you that with a little preparation, doing the right things in the right steps, even in the heat, you can transform your lawn. We started this project July 22nd, and during that first part of that July week, I think we had like 3 strings of 100-degree weather while I was out here just beating the crap out of this lawn out here. We did the low mow, and we scalped this entire lawn down below an inch. We dethatched and took out the 5 or 6 humongous piles of dead grass and material out of here. We laid down that 1824-8 Lesco fertilizer from the big box store to feed it, and then we just let the watering take over and do what it needed to do. Now, I did fix one of the heads that was in the center here that just was not working correctly, just to make sure that it was actually getting watered the way it needed to. And I made some arc adjustments to the 100 PGP heads out here just to make sure that it was watering correctly. But Other than that, I wasn't doing any additional watering. The landscape company came out and adjusted some of the times just to make sure that the rest of the park was starting to green up. So 30 days from, you know, this to this is amazing. And I want you all to be confident that you can help transform your lawn too in a short amount of time by just following some of those simple guidelines. Water, getting the canopy cleaned up, fertilizing, and this mowing with sharp blades, cleaning up and making it look wonderful. So I am going to come back out and I'm going to mow this here in a little while. We're going to do a final mow. We're going to get it nice and cleaned up, some nice stripes. We may even get a couple overhead photos of the finished product. And then I will kind of give you my final thoughts at the end of it. So stick around and here we go. And there you have it. 30 days from this and this to this. So some of my thoughts on here. You know, this was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun for me. It gives me an opportunity to come out, you know, prove upon something that doesn't look the greatest, transform it a little bit, and help show everybody that you too can have a fantastic looking lawn. Now, by no means is this lawn perfect. There's still a lot of things that can be done in here to improve upon. One of the first things is weed control. Again, there's still a lot of weeds in here that have developed over the last 30 days that I would go in and take care of. Two, I'd come back in and do a secondary rake, and especially be hard on any of the locations like this here that still have a little ways to go, still have a little bit of dead matter in there, and rake those up. I would also come back in on any of the spots that are low, like this here, and bring in a little bit of compost and dirt and sand, level those places out, seed any of the really bad bare spots, and then I would end up putting down another round of soil conditioner for me myself to try to really help the soil out. Something that has some biochar in there, some things that have some micronutrients and some bacteria in there that'll help break down the nutrients and make it more plant available. So those are some of the things that I would end up doing out here if I were to continue in on this project. So one of the comparisons, again, that I want to go back to taking a look at is if you take a look at other sections of the park and we look and get down into the canopy a little bit, you're going to notice in here that you still got a lot of dead material down in here. And I know the light isn't that great, but you got still a lot of that yellow overcast where you got a bunch of dead material. You've got dull blades hacking at the grass, giving it that brown tint at the top because it's not really sharp. And then you come back into this area and you're going to notice a heck of a lot less of that. We removed that dead material. We sharpened the blades so that each cut really gives you a clean quality cut, and it's not going to nick and dull the grass blade to where it looks horrible. And so when you really take a look at the areas that are right next to the parts I have done, you can really see that difference in here. And you can really see the dead material and the dead looking grass from the rest of it. So, going forward, if you are interested in trying to revamp your lawn, take it from something that looked just like this park did 30 days ago to having something that looked a lot like this, there are some very, very simple steps. So step number 1 is making sure that you fix your watering problems, right? You've got to make sure that you are irrigating correctly, putting down the right amount of water for your type of grass, your soil conditions, and on average what your lawn needs. Trying to get about an inch a week down into the grass is what your target is. Now that can be an inch with irrigation and rain, or at least an inch at least with irrigation. So that's number 1. 2 is making sure that you are getting in and digging up any of the dead material that you see in the lawn. If it gets matted too much, it's choking the grass out. It's not allowing things to thrive in there. And by running through with a rake and a dethatcher, that's going to open a lot of things up, allow the grass to repair itself and start spreading, and especially with Kentucky bluegrass as it spreads by rhizomes in the soil. Perennial ryegrass and some other bunching fescues, you're going to have to overseed in areas where the damage is really bad. Number 3, once you are raking and getting all of that material out, mowing low, cleaning more of that material up, and then getting down a good fertilizer. In this case, we did the 18-24-8 Lesco that had a little bit of humic acid, but also had a combination of slow and fast release fertilizer in there. That really gave this a boost and a jump start into the renovation. And again, if it were me, I'd come back in with a nice blend of another 10-10-10 or 13-13-13, hit it one more time, green this up even more, and kind of get it where it needs to be for the remainder of the season. So then number 4 is making sure that you are mowing often and with sharp blades. Again, most times trying to cut once a week, and especially when you have an active growing season, you may be taking too much off the top when you're doing it. So if you can, and if all possible, at least adding in a second mow a week, you'll take off less material at a time with the lawnmower, so you're causing less stress to the grass and less stress to the blades. Making sure those lawnmower blades are very sharp each time. I tend to try to sharpen my blades every 10 to 15 mows just to make sure that I'm getting a nice clean cut each time that I mow. So just starting with those few steps, you can drastically improve the look of your lawn in a very short amount of time. Now, is there more advanced things that you can do, putting down a lot more humic acid, biochar, sea kelp, spray iron? Yeah, you can run the gamut and do a lot of different things, and hopefully here in the future on my channel I'm going to start showing you some of those more advanced things that you can do to your lawn to get it to look a little bit more like my front yard does. But for the normal homeowner, we really want to focus on just doing some simple things to make sure that your grass is looking great. So one more time, a little bit of walk around. I did a double cut for everybody So we got some nice diamond patterns rolling through the grass today. We're getting towards 5:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, and the weather out here is nice, a little cooler. We had some rain showers a little earlier to drop the temperatures down, but that grass is popping and looking great. So I will be beginning some other projects for you all coming into the fall, and then hopping in on some spring projects as we get into the spring, especially on my lawn and some other ones. I want to show everybody a little bit different way of doing spring renovations when you may not have the time in the fall time to be doing it, whether it's your schedule, a lot of sports, football, all sorts of things happening in the fall. And especially for me, as I get into the fall and winter seasons, I'll show you a little bit more about what stress my lawn goes through during that amount of time. But I will have a lot more content for you all coming up in the future. This is the end of the 30-day park project. I hope you all enjoyed this project. I know I did. I thank you all for tuning in. My name's Mike, the Colorado Lawn Guy, and we will see you on the next one. Take care now.